Well, down in Georgia, it looks like it's subpoena-palooza. John Eastman, come on down. Rudy, Jenna, we've got subpoenas for you as well. And Lindsey Graham, there's a Georgia state subpoena with your name on it. Let's talk about what it all means. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So you've probably seen by now that Fulton County District Attorney down in Georgia, Fani Willis, has issued a whole slew of grand jury subpoenas for Donald Trump's friends, lackeys, criminal associates, co-conspirators, folks like John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Lindsey Graham, and some others. Let's take a few minutes talking about what each one means, because these subpoenas represent sort of different challenges and different opportunities for different witnesses. Let's start with the easy one, John Eastman. John Eastman is one of Donald Trump's former criminal lawyers, and by that I don't mean he was an attorney practicing criminal law. I mean, he's one of Donald Trump's criminal co-conspirators, as found by a federal judge in California, David Carter, who ruled by a preponderance of the evidence that John Eastman and Donald Trump committed felony crimes together in their determination to overturn the election's results. So, yes, John Eastman is a co-conspirator of Donald Trump in a very real sense, and he has now received a grand jury subpoena from the special grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia. He's an easy one because remember when he was subpoenaed to the January 6th Select Committee to testify about the crimes of Donald Trump? What did he do? He pleaded the Fifth. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminations more than 100 times. What can we expect John Eastman to do now that he's been subpoenaed to a Georgia state grand jury? I would bet he'll be invoking his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminations maybe another 100 times. So I think he is the easiest one to sort of dispose of. Let's talk about Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis. These were both former lawyers for Donald Trump, both engaged in all sorts of shenanigans and filing fraudulent lawsuits trying to overturn the election results, but they did so much more than just that. They have both now been subpoenaed to testify before the Fulton County grand jury. Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, having been Donald Trump's lawyers previously, they may have some legitimate opportunity to assert an attorney-client privilege. So in other words, if they had some private communications with their client, Donald Trump, communications that did not involve fraud or committing crimes together, legitimate attorney-client conversations, those would be privileged. And they could invoke the attorney-client privilege and refuse to answer questions before the grand jury about those private, non-criminal, non-fraudulent conversations. However, and it's a big, delicious however, remember that both Rudy and Jenna testified before the Georgia state legislature in their zeal to try to corruptly help Donald Trump overturn the election results in Georgia. And what did they testify about? They testified about debunked, fraudulent election fraud claims in Georgia. In other words, they lied. Guess what? Those lies that Rudy and Jenna told to the Georgia state legislature do not enjoy any attorney-client privilege or any other kind of privileges or protections. So they've got a tough decision to make. When they are hauled before the special grand jury in Fulton County, they're going to have to decide whether to testify or whether to invoke their Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, the way their fellow lawyer, John Eastman, already did in front of the January 6th committee. Let's turn to Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham received a subpoena to testify about possible Georgia state election crimes. So one would expect any sort of stand-up, law-abiding senator who's being asked about election crimes in another state, not even the state where he represents people. He's been asked to testify about his knowledge of potential crimes by Donald Trump and others. So you would expect a state senator to say, Madam District Attorney, I'm here to help. I'm ready to provide all the truthful information I can about possible violations of Georgia state law. Is that what Lindsey Graham did? Come on. No, he started yelling and screaming, figuratively, in press releases. I'm not coming. I'm not testifying. It's a witch hunt. It's all about politics. And by the way, separation of powers. There's a buzz phrase that he threw in his press release, thinking maybe that would fool somebody. It ain't going to fool District Attorney Fani Willis, that I can promise you, because there is no separation of powers problem here. Let me use an analogy. If Lindsey Graham was in Atlanta on Peachtree Street and he saw Donald Trump shoot somebody, not on Fifth Avenue, but on Peachtree in Atlanta, he could be subpoenaed to testify about Donald Trump's crimes. And there wouldn't be a separation of powers roadblock to him being subpoenaed to a Georgia state grand jury. So why is Lindsey Graham so desperately concerned about possibly having to testify under oath before a Georgia state grand jury? I think I know why. Let's look back to a telephone conversation Lindsey Graham had with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. This was the reporting from USA Today at the time. Raffensperger said Graham asked him if political bias might have influenced poll workers to accept ballots with non-matching signatures. Graham also inquired as to whether Raffensperger had the power to toss mail-in ballots in counties with high rates of non-matching signatures. To Raffensperger, it appeared that Graham was suggesting he find a method to throw out ballots that had been lawfully cast. Quote, "It sure looked like he was wanting to go down that road," Raffensperger said. So in a conversation with the Georgia Secretary of State, Senator Graham was urging him to find ways to toss lawfully cast ballots, to maybe help Donald Trump corruptly claim that he won in Georgia. What Secretary of State Raffensperger said, "It sure looked that way to me." So friends, why is Lindsey Graham so desperate not to be placed under oath by a Georgia state grand jury and have to testify about all that? Well, looks like we have to go back to the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. Because, it sure looks like, to borrow from a song that I've borrowed from before, that old Lindsey went down to Georgia. He was looking for some votes to steal. He was in a bind because Trump was way behind, and he was willing to make a deal. Yeah. That's why Lindsey Graham is desperate not to testify. And wouldn't it be interesting if he, a sitting United States senator, was dragged before the grand jury and invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination? That sure is what any competent defense attorney would likely advise him to do, because zealously representing a guilty client like justice, matters. Heating up, friends. Heating up. Please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.